Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, nation of Israel. Those are the children of Jacob of the bloodline awakening today. Greetings to all of you. Glory and honor, glory and honor to the Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Glory and honor to Messiah YHWH, the only begotten Son of the Father, the high priest of Israel, our righteousness before the Father, Yahweh, our righteousness, and our atonement for sin. Glory and honor to the Holy Father, the Most High, Yahweh, and to his Son, the soon returning King of planet Earth, Messiah YHWH. Greetings to the 12 tribes, the awakening brothers and sisters, coming back to our Father, according to the word of the Most High. Greetings to the Gentile brethren who have been grafted in and adopted into the family because they received the truth of the Father, the truth of the Hebrew Messiah being a black man, and the truth of his bloodline being the descendants of slaves. They are also now grafted into the family and will be with us on the land and on the sea of glass. Greetings. Greetings to the chat, Brother Gary Joseph, Isha Shama, Brother Frankie, Castle King Ruel, Brother Baldy Thorpe, Sister Daniels, Brother Daniels, Only One Way, Sister Jillian, David Harriet, Stephen Kelly, Akawan Banya, my brother, Superstar, Sister Love Blue, Brother Mike Check. Greetings to all of you. Praise the Most High, Yah. Okay, so we're going to be, by the grace of the Father, Yah, this morning, going into this very important subject in terms of the feast. But before we do, one of the things, brethren, I am convicted, as I've told many times, I've said it many times, and many of you have heard, bear witness, I'm convicted that the Heavenly Father has called me to teach his word. I am convicted that he has brought me forth into this earth, into existence, and my main function is to lead people to him by teaching them his word and pointing people to him and his word. And I think y'all could bear witness to that. So I've been doing that. Now, part of that, brethren, part of my function in that regard is to show you examples, object lessons, and warnings, because it is my conviction also that we are the people of the last days. Among us are the 144,000. We are the people of the last days of Babylonian rule and Gentile rule. And you, many of you, especially you brothers, are going to be utilized by the Heavenly Father to teach other people his word and to point other people to him. And so every once in a while, in preparation for that, an object lesson comes up. And I want to first review that. And this is what I like about having actually two channels. I have the Knicks, the New York Knicks side of my channel. And of course, there's the Bible study, prophecy study side of my channel. And I get all kinds of comments, brethren. And the comments oftentimes teach me things. And the teachings that it teaches me, I share with you. Okay, I share with you. For example, on the Knicks side, what I see on the Knicks side of the channel is how thoroughly people can be brainwashed and motivated by things they're being told to think. Things that are so ridiculous when you actually step back and look at them. But because people are engrossed in the moment, they're being brainwashed and don't realize they're being brainwashed. And I could always tell because they're basically almost word for word regurgitating something from one of the, what should I call them? One of the propaganda masters. Yes, propaganda masters is what I'm going to use. And the reason I say it is because, brethren, in the days of Adolf Hitler, and I know people start tripping just by the name of Hitler. That tripping is designed to protect the guilty from some of the tricks that the Nazis used. The Nazis brought forth a special department in their government. They created a government office. And Joseph Goebbels was the head of that office. It was called the Ministry, listen to this now. It was called the Ministry of Propaganda. That was an actual office created by the government of the Nazis under Hitler. The Ministry of Propaganda. Now, what was that for? That was an office designed in the area of communication that would affect radio and movies and theater and music to bring forth messages that the Nazis wanted the people to receive. For example, they were being taught over a 10-year period that the Ashkenazis were no higher than vermin, that they deserve, they should be treated the way rats are treated, and they should be gotten rid of the way rats are gotten rid of. And over the course of time, the people receive, and this is just an example, but the people receive that to the point where Germans can send street soldiers into the houses of Ashkenazis, drag all of them out, shoot them in the street, and nobody would look twice because they were vermin anyway. That's the way they were being taught, see? And so it was part of the ministry of propaganda. And again, at the time, there wasn't television, but there was video, there was movies, and there were theater, which was huge. And then, of course, there was radio. So they had these propaganda artists under Joseph Goebbels bring forth messages that would brainwash the people and then condition them to receive things that they might not otherwise have received. Now, that was in the 1930s. That was in the 1930s, which is almost 100 years ago, right? So from what you understand about technology and about the times in which we live, do you think they've stopped using propaganda now? What do you think? Do you think that propaganda has stopped? That they no longer have ministries of propaganda to brainwash the people? Of course not. Not only has it not stopped, brother, but I think we should understand it's gotten way more sophisticated. Okay? I want to make sure y'all with me so far. It's a little, this story take longer than I'd like, but I need to break it out to you by the conviction of the Spirit. I need to break it out to you. So it's become more sophisticated. How? Well, now you not only have, of course, people don't listen to the radio as much, but even they still have radio, Sirius. You know, you guys have heard of Sirius XM radio. They bring out propaganda. Then, of course, there's movies, and then there's movies, and then there's movies. You have Prime Video, Netflix, you have movie theaters, then, of course, there's television, and there's hundreds, literally, of channels, right? Hundreds of channels. And then, of course, you have news media. And news media is one of the biggest ways to motivate people. Now, another one that we don't recognize, and this is part of the deal with Asatan. When you don't realize he's coming at you, that's when you're most vulnerable, right? One of the ways of war is stealth. What does that mean? That means you're being attacked and you don't realize it until it's too late, right? That's stealth. They have a plane that the United States government developed that's called the stealth fighter. It can fly in other countries and it can avoid radar. It's a bomber that can fly into other countries, go through their radar, and the country won't even know it's there. It can take pictures. It can take photographs of geography. It could take and then get back, and the other country wouldn't even have known you were there. Stealth, okay? So that's how Asatan works, by stealth. And we also know from the word of the Most High, by craft. Now, one of the biggest areas of propaganda today is sports. Okay? One of the biggest areas of propaganda today, and I mean bigger, just as big as religion, is sports. How does it work? First of all, in order for propaganda to work, in order for any deception to work, one of the ways is to get the listener emotionally involved. Do you understand? To draw the listener's emotions into it. And so with sports, people have favorite sports, favorite teams. And then in the sport highlights individuals of the sport. They make them into stars. They put them in big lights. They put them on television commercials. They highlight them in such a way that people are emotionally drawn to the subject. And it could be any sport. It could be boxing. It could be soccer. It could be track and field, especially baseball, football, basketball, hockey. You could be drawn into it. Okay. Now, once they get you emotionally drawn into it, and how you can tell is how emotional you are based on news you receive about that team, that sport. For example, the owner of the New York Knicks, or at least part owner, is a man named James Dolan. And this is an example. So because James Dolan had a bad relationship with national media, he did some things, said some things they didn't like. They put on a 10-year, 15-year propaganda against him, getting to the point where they were telling him, sell the team, sell the team. They just hated him. What caused me not to buy into that, aside from the Father's Yah's grace, was I noticed that this man they hated was the first man in major professional sports to hire a black head coach, a black president of basketball operations, a black head of scouting, right? A black assistant coach. Nobody had done that ever. They made it that he was a Trump supporter and all this. But then I thought, and then I remember there was a particular player that he brought out of, this player was suspended by the league for coaching for choking a child that had it coming, in my view. But this particular player became one of my favorite players, but there became a contract issue between James Dolan and this player's representatives, such that the player left and went to another team. When that player came back to play against the Knicks, after every time he scored a basket, he would walk up to James Dolan, who used to sit right under the basket, and curse him out for about 20 seconds and then run back up the court. That same player blew all his money on gambling and whores and became broke after being a multimillionaire. Who brought him back and hired him and gave him work, paying money for basically doing very little? James Dolan. Now, I noticed all of that. So I thought, he can't be as bad as everybody's making him seem. But I was getting a lot of people coming at me saying, I hate James Dolan. And I would say stuff like, do you know him personally? Like, did he rape your sister or something? Because they would get emotionally charged. He needs to sell the team. And I'm listening to them and I'm saying, they're just hearing what the propaganda artists taught them, and they got emotionally bought into it. And then they started regurgitating based on the brainwashing they received. See? And that caused me to think about 9/11. Many of y'all are too young to remember 9/11. If you're my age, you remember it like it was yesterday. I was scared that day. I'm from New York, and I used to work very close to the World Trade Center. Matter of fact, I used to get off the A train underneath the World Trade Center and walk down to where I worked on Water Street at the time. I chased Manhattan Bank, and I every day come out from underneath the World Trade Center. So when those two buildings went down, my heart dropped. I got to admit, my heart dropped. I was looking at it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That was 9/11/2001. Before the day was over, there on every major news outlet, there were pictures of this man they were telling us was Osama bin Laden, this was before the day was over. They was telling us about this evil man, Osama bin Laden, that was responsible for 9/11. And before the week was over, they had long lines of young men volunteering to try to go kill Osama bin Laden. And I thought about that, and I said, before on the 10th of September, nobody heard of Osama bin Laden. He was in nobody's life. But then on the 12th, everybody wants to kill him. And I smelled something fishy at that moment. I was scared for what I saw. I didn't know everything that was going on, but something didn't smell right. This man we never met is all of a sudden our public enemy number one. And I realized the media can make you believe anything they want to about anybody, unless you take the disposition from the start that you're dealing with liars. If you already know all media is coming at you as a lie, then you already are on the defensive about anything they present to you, correct? You're already on the defensive because now you know they're lying to you. I mean, I got a cousin. He's like a brother. Most of us understand that, especially in the Hebrew world. You understand you got cousins. Your cousins are generally either your mama or your daddy's child, sibling's child, right? My father and my aunt, and my cousins come from my aunt, this particular cousin, and I come from my daddy. We first cousins, and we've always been close. But he is the greatest liar I've ever met in my life. I've never met, and he could call. I remember one day he wanted to get out of school early. He just wanted to get out of school early. And I walked down the hall at school between classes, and I saw him with about 5 of my friends from the hood, from the neighborhood, my brothers. They were all in tears. And I said, "What happened, man?" And he told everybody that my aunt had got shot just to get out of school early. I didn't know if it was true or not, because a good liar is a good liar. And I didn't know, because my aunt was a straight gangster. Before there was gangsters, my aunt was a straight gangster. And so it wasn't like, would have been surprising to me if somebody shot her. So I called my daddy. That's my daddy's favorite sister. So I called him, and his hand is shaking as he's dialing my aunt's number. And she picks up the phone. It was all a lie just to get out of school early. And he had all of the fellas crying with him. But see, when you understand now, when he calls me, whenever I talk to him now, once in a while, I already know he's lying to me. Like I come off of, like, whatever he's telling me is a lie. I already know that. Okay. So it's not like he can't fool me like he used to then. But I still love him. You know, y'all, I mean, you have to be in to understand. He's still my cousin. I still love him. You know, I mean, he's like a brother to me, but he's a major liar. That's just how he is, you know. So when you know somebody's coming at you with a lie, you already know it's a lie. So if he came at me and said, "Man, I got cancer, I'm gonna die in 2 weeks," I said, "Well, brother, make sure you get your house in order." And he would do something like that, you know. So make sure you get your house in order, because I know him. So in sports and in religion are the biggest brainwashing propaganda going. For example, today, I saw a video. No, it was on Facebook. Somebody I knew, somebody I grew up, somebody I went to high school with, was talking about Israel are heroes. They prevented, by attacking Iran, they prevented nuclear war from Iran. So they're saving us from Iran. Just like he said. Then he said they saved us from Iraq. Sometimes heroes wear the Star of David. I couldn't believe what I was reading. See, to us who understand who they really are, that's offensive. But the propaganda and this child is Italian. and the propaganda got to him. See? And that's how it does. So I wanted to share this with you because one of the things, exactly, Brother Groman, one of the things I always tell y'all, don't debate what you believe with anybody. Don't debate what you believe with anybody. Your belief is based on your conviction from the word. When you are teaching people, like all of you, did I force you to come here? Did I pay you to come here? Did I beg you to come here? Or did you come here of your own volition and of your own accord, right? So what I'm teaching, you want to hear because you're here for it. If you don't like it, you leave. I didn't ask anybody for no money, right? I didn't ask anybody for no money. So you don't debate with people. Okay. Let me give you 2 or 3 witnesses for the fool that tried to debate with me. And I'm going to share with you in a second what he wrote. But let me show 2 or 3 witnesses why we don't debate with people. Okay, first, let's go to Jude. And I want to show you how the Father Yah and Messiah answered debate. Okay, let's start with Jude, which is only 1 chapter. And I go to verse 9. This is Jude, verse 9. There's only 1 chapter in Jude. So Jude, verse 9. Excuse me. Jude is the book right before, a small book right before the book of Revelation is Jude. Jude, verse 9. Yet Michael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. So the devil was trying to debate with Michael about the body of Moses. Okay, that's what it just said. Y'all see that? So it said, yet Michael, the archangel, when contending or disputing with the devil, he disputed, that's a debate about the body of Moses. Durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Yahweh rebuke you. So he didn't get into it with him. He just said, Yahweh rebuke you. There was no debate. Yahweh rebuke you. Got that? And of course, David Harriet is correct. Do not waste pearls on swine. Very good. Now, that's 1 witness. Jude, that's 1 witness. Let's go to another witness, another one, a Castle King. You know this one very well. This is Zechariah chapter 3. Zechariah chapter 3. Okay, Zechariah chapter 3. We're going to read from verse 1 down to verse 2. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Watch what it says. This is our second witness. We just got Jude. Now we're going to get in the mouth of what? 2 or 3 witnesses. Let every word be established. So here, Zechariah chapter 3. And he showed me Yahushua, the high priest, standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Asatan standing at his right hand to resist him. And Yahweh said unto Asatan, Yahweh rebuke thee, O Asatan. Even Yahweh that hath chosen Jerusalem, rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now, wait. So, who is Yahushua, the high priest? Well, in this instance, he's an actual Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Levi. Who's resisted him? The devil. Let's stop there for a minute. One of the things about our awakening is discovering who we are. Right? That's part of our awakening. Discovering who we are. Once we are being shown by the Spirit of the Word who we are, that's our conviction by the Word and the Spirit, who we really are. So anybody that tries to challenge that, we already know now where they come from. Testing 1, 2, 3. Got that? And so did they debate? Yahweh said unto Asatan, Yahweh rebuke thee, O Asatan. Again, there was no debate. Yahweh rebuke you. I've chosen Jerusalem. This is a brand plucked out of the fire. Didn't debate with him. And then from that point on, they, of course, we know, they took away the filthy garments and replaced them with priestly robes, put a mitre on his head, and promised him, if you walk in my statutes, you're going to be among these that stand by, because I bring forth my servant, the branch. Period. There was no debate. And the conversation between him and Asatan stopped, and the conversation was between Yahushua, the high priest now, and the Most High Yah. And Zechariah was observing the conversation. There was no debate. Everybody got me? Once you realize who you're dealing with, Ain't no need to debate no more. Okay? There's no more debate. And we stand by the word. Here, Luke chapter 4. Wait, hold on. Let me see if it's either Luke or Matthew. Let me see which one I want. Let me see which one I want. Yeah, okay. It's Matthew. Matthew chapter 4 is what I want. Matthew chapter 4. I like the order that Matthew puts it in. Okay, Luke does the same thing, but Luke puts it in a different order. But here, I like the order. In Matthew chapter 4, Messiah had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, just water. Afterward, the Bible says he was hungered, which means he was weak. Most of us understand, you get certain stages of hunger. And then one of the stages, at the end, if you've ever fasted on water, is weakness. You start feeling energetic, and then you start feeling a little sick. And then at the end of it, you're feeling weak. Can't do anything you would normally do, right? So he was now at the end of 40 days to test. He was weak. Then Asatan came to him and would challenge him by repeating the word. And then he would repeat the word, and then the Messiah would answer him with the word. And then the first time he said, command that these stones be made bread. And the Most High, and then he said, no, you're only going to live by the word of the Most High. Then he comes to him and said, jump from the top of this mountain, because he said, the Most High said he'll catch you. And then he said, you don't tempt the Yahweh. Then the third one. This is the one. The third one. See, up until this point, he's weak. He may not even know who he was talking to. And we know Asatan comes to us. He don't come to us in his true form. He comes to us, the Bible says, as an angel of light. So here's Messiah weak, and this dazzling angel comes to him. And he didn't know who it was until the third statement. This is Matthew chapter 4, beginning at verse 8 and going down to verse 11. Matthew chapter 4 from 8 to 11. This is our third witness. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. That gave him away right there. Because Satan thinks he's a god that needs to be worshipped. Remember what the Bible said? I will sit on the sides of the north. I will be like the Most High. That gave him away. The angel of light, now Messiah knows who he is. And what did he say? Then said Yahweh unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship Yahweh thy Most High, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So now that ended. There was no more debate. There's no need for him to continue a conversation now, because he now knows who he's dealing with. Once you know who you're dealing with, there's no need for you to continue that conversation. Does that make sense, y'all? Once you realize who it is you're dealing with, see, there are people that are innocently trying to learn, and they may ask questions out of their innocence. But then there are others that have an agenda, and they give themselves away. Once they do, and you know who you're dealing with, there's no need to continue the conversation. So let me show you this one. I won't say this fool's name because he ain't worthy. And I can tell you right now, he about to be booted from the channel. So I'm not going to say his name, but I'm just going to show you what he said. So he comes on here and he asks a question. Do you debate? Gave himself away right there. That's the first thing he said. Do you debate? If so, we should have a chat. That's how he came at me. Do you debate? If so, we should have a chat. My answer, I hate and despise debate. It is a tool of my enemy. Nah, I don't. I already knew that wasn't going to be enough for him, and it wasn't. So he comes back again. Can you back that with scripture, or is this your opinion? I heard your show last night and think you were off on a lot. Should we not be Bereans? Let me read that again. I want you to listen carefully to what he responded. Okay. I already knew who I was dealing with now. The Spirit had already showed me from his first question. But now it's obvious. Okay. So wait, what does he say? Watch. Can you back that up with scripture, or is this your opinion? So I just told him I don't want to debate. What was he trying to do, brethren? He was trying to draw me into a debate by having me prove to him that I don't debate. Right? Y'all see that? So he's trying to draw. I just told him I don't want to debate, and he's trying to still draw me into a debate. So I heard your show last night and think that you were off by a lot. So that's the second thing. So now he's trying to draw me in to prove to him that I'm not off. Let me tell you something, brother. Again, do I need to prove to him anything? Am I under any obligation to prove anything to anybody? You see what I'm saying? So if you believe what I'm teaching, well, you just believe it. If you don't, well, you just don't. Once I understood that, and I learned this a while ago, and Brother Kaskin, know he had that same to deal with it too. But once you realize that, you don't debate with nobody. So once he said, I think you were off. That's supposed to get me to say, I'm not off. Let me prove to you I'm not. No. And then he goes, this is another one they say. The last part of that, should we not be Bereans? Now, whenever a person uses the word we with me, I always say, who is we? What we you talking about? Because see, they're trying to draw you in to be one with them. That's part of the brainwash. So they're trying to draw you in to be one with them. Shouldn't we? Let me read my answer to him. I said, that would be irrelevant. Whatever my motivation, it is mine. And you are not part of we. Not my we. You understand? I don't know what we he was talking about. Usually this is a thing that Christians use, because Christians assume everybody's a Christian when you're in the Bible. You all know that, right? Christians assume everybody's a Christian, which is arrogant. Is it not? They just assume because you're studying the King James Bible, you must be a Christian. And they know Christianity in the book. But they assume that. Shouldn't we? We who? So then I said, and you are not part of we, because he ain't no Hebrew, that's for sure. While I can indeed back up my beliefs with witnesses, which you just saw me do, from the word, I will not with an agent of Asatan, which I find you to be. Move on. You understand? We, that's right, Sister Lovely. We. We who? We ain't French. We. You mean? But I wanted to share that with you because as our voices by the Spirit of the Father become stronger, these people are going to come out. They're going to come out of their holes from under their rocks. Some of them are going to be actual agents of our government. They're certainly going to be sent from Asatan. And one of the ways you can avoid a whole bunch of trouble and a whole bunch of problems, don't get into it with them. What we have as the truth are pearls, and we are taught by the Messiah, do not cast your pearls before a swine. Okay, so don't do it. Now he's gonna come back with something, and he's gonna catch it. You know, he's gonna be booted out of here. But I just wanted to use that example to show you this is how they operate. This is how they operate. And especially when you have read the word, and again, start in Genesis, read through to the book of Revelation, pray to the Father for his Spirit and let him guide you. Okay. Once you are convicted from the word, there's no debate necessary. There's no debate necessary. Your conviction is enough. Okay, it's enough. And don't let nobody tell you otherwise. What can be stronger to any human being than their conviction about anything? Okay, so let the Spirit of the Father guide you Yeah, exactly. Let the Spirit of the Father guide you and direct your path. And once He gives you something on the spirit of conviction in your spirit, hold on to that. Especially when you got 2 or 3 witnesses to back up your conviction. As I shared with you, we shared Jude, Matthew, and Zechariah about debate. See? Now, let me ask you all this question. The Pharisees would send people to test Messiah all the time, right? What was the label that the Messiah gave those Pharisees and Sadducees that were sent to him to try to trap him? What did he call them? Did he call them brothers? What did he call them? The people that came. He called them wolves in sheep's clothing. He called them hypocrites. Did he not? He called them hypocrites. Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? He called them, he said, I teach you what I get from my God. He said, but you teach what you get from your God. He called them, he said, you are Abraham's seed, but you're not like Abraham. He said, you are the children of the devil. That's what he called them. The people that were coming at him to debate, to try to trap him in his word, were wolves in sheep's clothing. They were hypocrites. They were children of the devil. So now you can see, because a lot of y'all are going to be, the Spirit will touch you, and you're going to end up teaching people. And the people you're going to teach are people that the Father draws to you. But within that crowd, there's always going to be a Judas. Don't worry about Judas, because you'll easily spot him. Because like this fool did, he will always show himself. He will always show himself. Okay? All you got to do is see it for yourself. You know the signs. He's always going to show himself. Okay, don't worry about Judas. Judas is gonna get what Judas is gonna get, just like Balaam. Balaam gonna get what Balaam gonna get. Judas gonna get what he got, and all Judas is behind them, which usually look like us. They all gonna get what they got coming. Nobody's getting over, brother. When it's time for us to stand on that sea of glass, we gonna be there, and Judas will not. That's guaranteed. Judas will not be there, and we're on the time that's happening. We're living in the time of that, brother. We're living in that time. So, again, I don't want to use a big word. I'm not trying to be, but the enormity, that means the largeness, the importance of the time of history we are now living in. I can't overstate how that is, because you and I are actually witnesses to the end of the Gentile rule. We are witnesses to it. Okay. Last night, my wife and I watched one of my favorite documentaries ever. It was called "I Am Not Your Negro." Have you all ever heard that? Saw that one? It's called "I Am Not Your Negro." It was a documentary about James Baldwin. It was his final work before he died of cancer. He was going to write a book about Malcolm, Martin Luther King, and Medgar Evers, because he had been close to each one of those guys. He had been close to their families. And so he talked about his experience with each brother and how each one was murdered. He talked about it. And during the course of that, I was like, wow, it's the greatest one that I saw, because he brought out stuff, man, that I was like, wow. And the thing is, and what he said was, in the beginning of the documentary, how it started, he's saying, I'm a witness of what happened. And I'm a witness of these 3 men. So there were propaganda about all 3, right? Like the FBI was putting out stuff about Martin Luther King because he liked to have a lot of women and he's a womanizer and blah, blah, blah. They were putting stuff about James Baldwin. He's a homosexual and, he's dangerous. It's interesting that J. Edgar Hoover, the biggest homosexual that we've ever seen, is talking about James Baldwin. But anyway, that's what, so they were talking about, he was talking about the stuff about Medgar Evers and his wife Myrlie and their children, and then of course there was Martin Luther King, there was Malcolm X. He seemed to be the closest to Malcolm X, but he was saying the premise of the whole documentary is he's giving witness. That was the powerful thing to me, is he's bearing witness of his experience, of what he has seen. And that's what happened with the apostles. Remember, the scribes and Pharisees was trying to stop. Yeah, Baldwin was a homosexual. He was. He didn't openly talk about that, but he was at that time. It was a whole different time, right? And he had experiences with women too. He talks about them in the documentary, but you know, he was a homosexual. Yeah. But that to me, that doesn't stop the power of his witness. Okay. Yes, it's a sexual perversion, but that doesn't stop the power of his witness. To me, that's why I'm just put it that way. So yeah, he was a homosexual, but that's okay. I mean, I'm not condoning that lifestyle, obviously, but I don't want that to distract from the power of his witness. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want that to distract from the power of his witness. And so he bore witness of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Medgar Evers, and he bore witness of what he experienced. And just like the apostles, when the scribes and Pharisees came to them and said, stop preaching in this name. And what did they answer him? And they said, we cannot help but speak the things that we have seen and heard. They cannot help but give their witness. You hear what I'm saying? They cannot help but give their witness. We cannot help but speak the things that we have seen and heard. There is no stories. They were bearing witness. And Peter, in his letter to the Hebrews, said, we are eyewitnesses of these things. Well, brethren, you and I have been brought forth in these last days. See, James Baldwin is dead. Malcolm X is dead. Martin Luther King is dead. Medgar Evers is dead. Fred Hampton is dead. Khalid Abdul Muhammad is dead. All of these men bore witness to the unrighteousness of society in which we live. Did they not? Am I lying to you? They all bore witness to the unjust society, especially unjust to the Hebrews. They bore witness. Well, brethren, you and I have been brought forth into existence at this time to bear witness of the Father Yah, of his love for us as his chosen ones, and of the unrighteousness of the Gentile rule. Okay? We are bear witness. And isn't that what the word tells us? The Father tell us in Isaiah, you are my witnesses that I am Yahweh. And he also tells us in Ezekiel, the heathen shall know when I'm sanctified in you before their eyes. Okay, we are his witness. That's right. And Paul says, you are my epistle. Okay, so that is the witness. We are being brought forth in this time to bear witness of the truth. And as we talk about all the time, in a world that's ruled by propaganda and the earth that's deceived by the craft of those that work directly for our enemy, when you speak the truth, you become an enemy. And so the Father is now giving us his spirit and preparing us in his spirit and in his word, and by our life to trust him and to bear witness of the truth. And that's what we're here for. Many prophets, all of the apostles would love to be where we are. Daniel saw it and didn't even understand what he saw. Daniel saw it, didn't even understand what he saw. Abraham saw it, and he knew he wasn't going to be there. David saw it. All of our ancestors that write words on behalf of the Heavenly Father called the Bible, they saw it. Okay? In the beginning, the Most High named the children of Israel. The Most High called Moses. The Most High spake unto Moses. These be the words. We are the witnesses. Does that make sense, y'all? We are the witnesses. We are being brought forth for the purpose of being a witness to the Father Yah. It does not matter to us who receives it and who does not. The Bible clearly tells us, they that bless you are blessed. They that curse you are cursed. Period. And that's all we need to know. The people that are ordained to life will receive. The people not won't. To us, that's not our job to make sure people receive or not receive. That's not our job. Our job is very simple. Bear witness. I love how the Father makes things powerful yet simple. Our job is to bear witness. To bear witness who we are. To bear witness where we came from. To bear witness of the Father's word. That's our job. To bear witness. He said, you are my witnesses. And remember, again, book of Revelation, the revelation of the Messiah, which Father Yah gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant Yachanan, who bear witness of all the things that he saw. Exactly, Stephen Kelly. Exactly. Do you, boo? And that's the thing. You want to debate? I'm not debating with you. Just do you, boo. You got a lot of errors. Okay, good. Go do you, boo. Since you know the truth, go teach that. And the people that are supposed to hear my witness will hear. There's nothing our Satan could do about that. That's why he tries to draw us into these foolish things, brethren. He tries to draw us in. And speaking of sport, with respect to propaganda, the way, now check this out. You have a favorite team. You want your team to win. Everybody wants their team to win, right? And a lot of people end up wearing the colors of their team. For 40 years, people were wearing the blue and white of the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs were disappointing them all the time because they couldn't win. Finally, the Cubs win a World Series. Okay? And everybody is happy because they finally experienced a World Series win with their favorite team, Chicago Cubs. Now, people are now voting based on their favorite team. See, it used to be that a person's vote that candidate represented policies and stands that they believed in. So if you were a person that believed in certain tax policy, certain social policy, that's how you would vote. It doesn't matter now. If you're red, you're red. If you're blue, you're blue. And they already tell you there's only two teams. See, that's a lie too, but there's only two teams. And they make sure one of those two teams wins. And if they'll tell you, if you don't vote for one of these two teams, you are what they'll tell you, wasting your vote. See how they brainwash? And they get big rah-rah crowds all over the world, all over the country for their red team or their blue team. Don't matter who the candidate is. He could be a dude that's got one foot in the grave on Alzheimer's. And that don't matter. Or he could be an outright white supremacist racist, and that don't matter. He's red or he's blue. That's your team. Doesn't matter. And what people end up doing is justifying the evil of their team. In other words, defending the devil. So your team could be responsible for murdering people, but you'll defend that. They can murder innocent women and children in other countries, but you'll defend that because that's your team. Truth doesn't matter. All that matters is your team. And you're emotionally connected to your team. See? And unless you have the Father Yah and the understanding of his kingdom, you will not see what I just told you. You will not see it. In fact, the same propaganda people will tell you the kingdom really is the United States. And the state of Israel, those Europeans, those are his chosen people. Just like that woman said, they're heroes when they kill men, women, and children in Palestine. Heroes when they bomb a nation that didn't bomb them in Iran. Because they are justified because they're the same colors that they want. That's their team. So that you end up justifying, even in the movies. How often in the movies you see the character of the star of the movie be something evil, and the movie is trying to get you to cheer for that person? Like in The Sopranos, there's a series, I forgot how many years The Sopranos, when it was early 2000s. In The Sopranos, the star of the show is a sadistic, low-life murderer, Tony Soprano. And they try to motivate you to root for Tony Soprano and his gang of murderous liars. Degenerates, really. But that's what they do, though. See, that's what they do. They get you to root for the evil. That's part of the propaganda. So again, it comes down to what we've been reading in Deuteronomy. Don't worship other gods. You start to sympathize with evil. You're starting to be brought to other gods. At the end of The Sopranos, it appears Tony got what he had coming to him, which was right. The last scene, he got what he had coming to him. Okay? That was the right ending. He can't ride off into the sunset. That would have been too obvious. See? He had to get what he had coming. So, brethren, so will all Asatan's people in his kingdom. They're going to get what they got coming. There's nothing that's going to stop them. And the word tells us that. And guess what? We bear witness. Praise the Most High. So now, with that in mind, let's go to Deuteronomy. Well, before we go, we're going to use two of Moses' witnesses here, because Moses describes these feasts in two places in great detail. One of them is Leviticus chapter 23, and the other one is Deuteronomy chapter 16. Deuteronomy 16 and Leviticus 23. Moses breaks out the witnesses. Now, the reason this is also true, of course, is this. Moses was used to bring into existence the feasts of Israel. Okay? Moses was the person that was used to bring into existence. So the Father taught Moses again, and Moses brought forth the words of the Father. So the feasts come from Moses. Before Moses, there was no feast. Adam didn't have a feast. Adam didn't have a jubilee. Neither did Noah. Neither did Abraham. The law of sacrifices came with Moses. Now, Abraham did sacrifice. That was a common thing at the time in that region. But in terms of the rules of the sacrifice, where it's supposed to be, who is supposed to do it, that came through Moses. Okay? That came through Moses. The feasts themselves, that came from Moses. And so Moses is the witness of the feasts. So starting off, let's go first to Exodus. Moses is the witness of the feast. Let's start with Exodus chapter 23. Exodus chapter 23. And this, because again, in order to understand the feast, you must read the word. Too many people guess. I've seen people try to teach about the feast and tell people there are 10, there are 7. I've heard all of these different things. The Bible is plain when it tells us about the feast. You don't need to guess. And that's why I say, brethren, if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't understand this. If you don't know something, just say you don't know it. Don't guess about stuff as important as the teachings of the word and the prophecies. Don't guess. Just say you don't know. Listen, this book right here, the word of the Most High, called the Bible, which means the book. It is the book. That book is from the word of the Most High. It is the spirit of eternal life. It is the spirit of supernatural power. There is no way you're going to know the whole thing. So don't misrepresent him by trying to guess about stuff you don't know. Just say you don't know. That drives me crazy. People be guessing about stuff and they will hold on to their cherished guesses like, oh my God, like, come on, man. Just say you don't know. Better that way. Because if you don't know, guess what? You can still learn. If you know, what can you learn? Because you already know. What you going to learn if you already know? Right? If I'm already a master of physics and I go to a physics master, what that physics master going to tell me that I don't already know? But if I'm a freshman in college and I'm learning physics from a PhD in physics, well, she's going to teach me what I don't know because I don't know. But if I act like I already know what that person knows, now I'm not going to learn anything because I already know. Praise the Most High. So by reading the word and praying to the Father for his spirit, turn you at my reproof, Proverbs 1:23 says, behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my word unto you. Turn you at my reproof. I will pour out my spirit upon you. I will make known my word unto you. So it's not known until he makes it known. And what he has not made known, don't say it. But what he has made known, bear witness. It's very simple, brother. But you know, we got to get our behind. I know myself. My behind had to be spanked many, many, many years in order to learn what I just told you. It took me a long time because I'm a hard-headed, stiff-necked Hebrew. That's what it is. It took me a long time. I didn't have to take so long. Well, maybe it did because me, right? But that's the thing. Got to learn. Okay? Got to learn. Praise the Most High. Sometimes the hard way. That's right. So in Exodus chapter 23, beginning at verse 13, I'm going to Exodus chapter 23, beginning at verse 13. And I'm going to read from verse 13 down to verse 17. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. 3 times in the year, all thy males shall appear before the Most High Yahweh. Now, how many feasts are there? Is it 7? 10? How many? How many feasts are there? 3. And what are they? Is the Shabbat a feast? I've heard people say the Shabbat's one of the feasts. Is the Shabbat one of the feasts that we just named? Is that it? Is Shabbat a feast? No, it's not. No, it's not. What did he say? 3 times, and he named them. He said, Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's one. Then he said, the second one, he said, Feast of Harvest, First Fruits. Feast of the First Fruits. That's second. And the last one, Feast of Ingathering, which also is called later Tabernacles, right? So 3 feasts, not 7, not 10, not 5, not 8, 3. 3 feasts. Okay? So when someone comes to you and they say there's 10 feasts, don't waste your time. And yeah. So it says plainly, there are 3 feasts, 3 times a year. Okay? Did it say 3 times a year, the entire congregation is going to stand before me? What did it say? Did it say 3 times a year, all your men, women, and children come before Yahweh? Did it say that? What did it say? What did it say? Sister Way, what did it say? Oh, males. Okay. So when someone that's a female comes before a bunch of men and says, I am your pastor, is that from the word? Is that from the word? See, brethren, we have to know the word, study the word, follow the word, learn from the word. Praise the Most High. So the man is called. Why? The man came first. The man was made in the image of Yah. The woman was made out of the rib of a man. So this is the order. Father Yah creates man. He opens man's rib and creates woman. So the father had the man in his own image and the woman in the image of the man. The man came from the hand of the Most High. The woman comes from the side of the man. How is that? So the man answers to the Most High. The woman is at the side, the helpmeet for the man. Her job, her existence is to be the help of the man. Okay, so then what is a wife according to the word? What is a wife? Her price is above rubies. So if her price is above rubies, she's rare, right? Because a ruby is rare, right? It's not like there's abundance of rubies. Her price is above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her. That means she is not going to hurt you. She's only there to help you. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She is dedicated to him. Now, for the man, that represents a lot of power. So the man must go to his God in order to deal properly with his wife. Otherwise, he can abuse her. He would, and he does. He will disrespect her. He will ruin her. Many a woman has been ruined by a man. And many a man has been ruined by a woman. And part of the problem is that neither of them understand their proper place in the order of the Father. And this society in which we live ruins it further. You can have a pure, young virgin girl, and there are dogs all over the place waiting to take away that girl's innocence first chance they get. I had to fight really hard to protect my daughters because I knew that. How do I know? Because I was one of them at one time. So I knew that. And I would have literally killed a Negro behind one of my children, especially my daughters. All you got to do is know yourself. There was a time when I was chasing them. You think I'm the only one? I'll be stupid to think that. But, And so there's brothers out there that are ready, willing, and able to take your children's purity from them. Don't trust anybody with your children, especially your daughters. Don't trust anybody. Okay? Don't trust anybody. You protect their purity. I taught my daughters about their purity, and I said, what you got there, everybody wants it. Don't give it to them until the Most High tells you this is the one. Praise the Most High. And from the time they were little, before they even were having their monthlies, when they were little, I was praying. Please provide a spouse for them that I don't have to kill. Provide a spouse for them that's right for them. Provide somebody for them. Because the way my wife taught them, they were going to be good wives. I know that. I wasn't even worried about that. They learned how to cook, how to clean, how to care, how to respect their husband. They knew all that. So I was praying that the Father will provide the right man for them. Now, one of my daughters is married, and that young man is my son. I did not lose a daughter. The Most High blessed me to gain a son. Blessed me. Answered my prayers. Okay? Answered my prayers. And my other daughter's not married. Why? Because ain't nobody there yet. That's all. And she ain't worried about it either. She ain't worried about it. And I taught my son, before you start having sex, make sure you provide for a baby. Because you start having sex, when I taught him about what sex was, you can get somebody pregnant. And if you ain't ready to provide for no baby, don't go get nobody pregnant. If you ain't ready to take care of an apartment or house and you got money in the bank, don't do it. One day we was in the park. One of the young boys, he must have been about 17, 18. He was all over this young girl. She must have been about 15. And my son said, Daddy, I know him. He ain't got no job. He lives with his parents. If he gets her pregnant, he can't take care of her. I said, exactly. Exactly. Now, I'm not discouraging. I didn't discourage him from having sex with a woman. He's a boy. But what you think? The blood don't flow? The blood does flow. Don't act like it don't. It does. But I also told him there's consequences. Can you take care of a child? Because you're going to have to. I ain't going to do it. You're going to have to do it. And he saw enough examples around him. And he would say, Pop, it's just what you said. I said, see. That thing will get you in trouble, man. See? I talk to my kids because you got to be real, man. You got to be real. I told my daughters, everybody going to want what you got. They're not going to respect it, but they want it. Protect it. Okay, protect it. What we are seeing with respect to that today is, unfortunately, society has taught our young girls to dress like the people they idolize. And the people they idolize dress like whores. And so they want to have fun. Young people want to have fun. So they go out, they dress like that. They attract the wrong young men that aren't ready to take care of nobody, aren't ready to provide nothing. They go through a lot of these young men. And then sometimes they get pregnant by more than one of them. Then by the time they're in their mid-30s, they're single parents. And they're in their mid-30s. And the same 25-year-old's not as interested in them as he was when she was 25. Not as interested. And some of them are being taught, well, you got to demand what you want. They should make 6 figures. And they'll end up by themselves because society has messed them up from the beginning. What Beyonce wears, any decent woman would not wear. Any Hebrew Israelite woman would not show. And these tats all over the place. That ain't for the daughters of Israel. Tats. When I was coming up, and most of you brothers know, tats was for either dudes that's in the Navy, dudes in the gang, or dudes in jail. That's what tats was for. You see tats, you know this guy, either he was in jail, he was in the Navy, or he was in the gang, or all three. Certainly not for no sister. Okay, that's not representative of the purity of the daughters of Israel. And that's what you sisters are. You're the daughters of Israel. And we praise the Most High for Mary Magdalene, because she went down the wrong path in her life. And the Messiah brought her back. And he could do the same thing for any daughter of Israel. She was a daughter of Israel, a bloodline daughter of Israel. And he brought her back. And he could do it for any daughter of Israel. See? Don't try to be like these people. But see, when people are young people don't understand certain things. This is the danger. You're grown enough to have a body like a grown person, but you're not a grown person, right? A young man can have a body like a grown man, but he's not a grown man. He's still a boy. A girl can have a body like a grown woman, but she's not a woman. And so you don't think like a grown man. You don't think like a woman. You don't think ahead. You can't even tell where you're going to be. You don't even have a plan for 5 years from where you are or how to accomplish it. You're only having fun in the moment, and you don't understand you could die anytime. You think you could do all these things and live. You understand? It's the way society is deceiving us. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. Okay? It's propaganda. Teach your children, brethren. Teach your children, teach your grandchildren. Teach them who they are, as the Bible tells us. Teach them the dangers of what's out here. Okay? Teach them the dangers of what's out here. You know, Sister Love Blue, I told my grandsons about what Bible marriage is. And I said, if you're having sex with a woman, she's either your girlfriend, your whore, or your wife. And you better be ready to take care of it. And my oldest grandson, he came to me and he said, Abuelo, he said, look, I don't want to go to college. And my son was mad at that. Said, he needs to go to college. I said, no, he does not. He said to you, he's telling you, I don't want to go to college. Don't force him to do what he's telling you he don't want to do. I said, but I told him, I said, you got to have something to support yourself. He said, I want to get a trade. Great. I said, get the trade. And I told him when he was 16, I said, look, this time of your life is the only time you're going to get to live rent-free somewhere. Save your money. And he did. And the more he saved, the less likely he was to get somebody pregnant. Because I told him, once you get somebody pregnant, you're going to have to take care of that baby. You're going to have to provide a place to stay. Your savings is going to go to that. And that motivated him. So he has had women. He's had sex with girls. But he understands the consequences. Okay? Then they can come to you when something's bothering them, when they don't understand something. They can come to you because you're talking to them like young men. You're being real. Okay? That's it. There you go. See? Praise the Most High. The Father blesses us, brothers, with words that come from him when we handle business properly. He'll bless us, and he'll bless our children after us. He promises that in the word. Okay, he promises that. Praise the Most High. So I'm blessed. My children, on Father's Day, they all called me. I was so happy just to hear from all my children, man. That was a blessing. And they're all healthy. I praise the Most High. And, you know, as a child, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. When my children were younger, they didn't understand what I was doing. They thought I was the worst guy. But now that they grown, they can look back and say, oh, that's why you did that. Yes. Yes. Now you see. You understand? Praise the Most High. You always want to be that way for the Most High to help you bless your children. Greatest blessing the Most High gives us is children and grandchildren. And you want to be the proper channel. Like you said, Brother Steve, you want to be their safe space. You want to be able to talk to them about the truth. You want to tell them who they are. You want to tell them what's out there. Now, you can't, they're going to make mistakes, right? Everybody does. You just don't want the mistakes to leave permanent scars if you can avoid it, right? Everybody's going to make mistakes. Parents are going to make mistakes. You're going to, you know, listen, as much as we would like, there's no real handbook to be a parent except what you see in the Word, what the Father teaches us. And we don't even learn that for a long time. But you're going to make mistakes as a parent. You're going to do it. And the thing is, you're going to learn. You learn from your mistakes that you make, right? And you do. And your children, they're going to make mistakes. I think, man, worst thing in the world. I don't know what it is, but 19, oh my God, it's scary. 19 is just, I don't know why that's the number for me, but from 19, the worst year of my life was my 19th year on this planet. Oh my gosh, got arrested twice. The worst thing in the world was my 19th year on this planet, doing some of the most stupidest things. And so, you know, I was very leery of that when my children were approaching 19. And I was like, come on, man. I'm praying. Some of them got through barely. Some of them had no problem. But 19, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. 19 is a dangerous time. You're grown enough to be able to do things a grown man would do, but you ain't no grown man. And you make stupid mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody does. Your children are going to make mistakes. Expect that. I think how we react to the mistakes is more important than the mistake. How do we react to the mistake? Because that can mess them up, you know. And it's hard because we're so emotional, right? Because we get emotional. There's people, if you're going to love anybody, it's going to be something that comes from your bone and your flesh, right? Your child or your grandchild. But they're going to make mistakes. You know that. You just pray that the scars they get are not permanent. That they can get spanked without having permanent burn marks, right? That's going to be with them all their life. You don't want that if you can avoid it. And no parent wants to see their child get that, right? But it's going to happen. It's part of living on this planet. Praise the Most High. That's right. A just man falleth 7 times and rises again. Praise the Most High. 7 times, rises again. So you're going to have mistakes. It's okay. Most High get you through. Praise the Most High. Well, we didn't get into the feast as much as I want to at this time, but I kind of knew we were going to go that way. The Most High took over, but it's all good. So we'll come back in the next session and we'll get more into the feast. But we know one thing about the feast. There's only 3. There's only 3. Each one of them has prophetic meaning. And very few people understand that. I mean, for me, I was like, wow, how come people don't see this? But see, not everybody's going to see what the Father shows you and me, right? The heathen ain't going to see it. But there are prophetic meanings to each feast. And when you see it, everything becomes clear. So we'll go into that. Praise the Most High. Most of you already know, but this is not just for y'all that are here all the time. This is for y'all to learn for others and for those that don't know. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, family.